You know, if you've learned how to do that with your gun, that's good. If you've gone out, if you've taken your self-defense handgun and you've used it at least fairly regularly to go out and set up a target or two and stand and shoot at regular self-defense distances, and you've gotten to where you can handle that gun competently and hit those targets with some degree of confidence, that's good. But how much better could it be? Meaning, there are so many scenarios that a civilian could have to deal with when confronted by a violent criminal, that it pays to add into intentional training of being able to shoot from different positions under different conditions, moving in, out, and doing some various things that you might have to do if you were ever confronted with a violent criminal that was trying to kill you, your family, somebody close to you. All kinds of scenarios could come into play. That doesn't mean anybody should have to go out and just continuously do this stuff, but it pays to get used to and get acclimated to and get used to and get skillful in various scenarios that could be common in a self-defense situation where you have to use your firearm and somebody else is shooting at you. Let's look at some of those. I've put together a combination of video clips here. Let's look at some of these and see what you could be doing to add to your already good competence with your firearm shooting a stationary target. Let's take a look at those right now. First, as always, please forgive the noise in the background. I am at a gun range, so there's firing over here, there's firing over on this side of me over here, so there's a lot of noise going on here, but I think you'll be able to hear me okay. One of the things that is certainly necessary to be able to add to your stationary shooting is just simply being able to, from a standing position, move in and shoot from around some type of obstacle. One of the best ways I know of to do that is to do it with silhouette targets, just cardboard silhouettes, just simple cardboard silhouettes. They're not expensive. You can cut out your own out of cardboard. You can order them online, not expensive to do. And you can do all kinds of things with silhouettes. In this scenario right here, I'm using silhouettes as multiple attackers. But in using the silhouette, what I'm doing here, I shoot the first one, then I run up and I use that one to simulate cover that I would be shooting around. Adding that scenario, a scenario where you're shooting around from side to side, where you might have to be shooting from cover, is critical, because that's a scenario that anybody could end up in if they had to deal with the unthinkable from a violent criminal. If there's any one thing that you could add to, or should add to, your stationary shooting, is your ability to move in and step around and lean from side to side and shoot around some type of object or shoot from cover. Add that, and that is a long way towards developing some skills in a scenario that seriously could be in play if you were accosted by a violent criminal with a firearm. One great way to practice shooting from all positions is just to simply build yourself an obstacle, like this one in this picture, or in this clip right here. This is something you can do with a 4x4 piece of plywood and a few 2x4s, cutting out the holes of different shapes in that piece of plywood right there, and setting it up on a range. You can run up and shoot through holes, through triangles, through squares. You can duck down, you can kneel, you can lean around, you can drop down to a prone position and shoot. You can also take other pieces of plywood and some clamps and add it onto this thing to where you can be shooting at all kinds of angles by just simply having this available. Keep this stored in your garage, it'll last forever, and the bottom line is it will give you the ability to go out and practice just in a very short time with very little ammo, give you the ability to practice shooting from every position you can imagine from cover. All types of positions, just with that one piece of equipment right there, can make a huge difference in you developing your skills shooting in all positions. Next, you know, if somebody draws a firearm on most people, if I've got a little kid with me or something, I'm gonna do everything I can to get them behind me. But if I'm by myself and I'm got my self-defense firearm with me, my personal self-defense firearm with me, you know, I'm not likely to just stand there and shoot it out with somebody if I can help it, and I suspect that you wouldn't either. The importance of being able to defend yourself while not just standing still is very important. And one of the most important ways to train in that regard is to learn how to back the heck up, retreat, get out of the way, while at the same time you may be drawing your firearm and shooting. So in this scenario right here, you just saw this is something that you may have to do, and you probably would do if somebody drew a gun on you. You probably wouldn't just stand there, square off with them and say, come get it, and draw yours and decide to just stand there in a square position and shoot. No, you'd be wanting to get out of the way the best you can. So developing scenarios where you can run, move, back up to the left or right, straight back, however you have to do it. Move away from what's coming at you at the same time being able to draw your firearm and shoot. It's an important skill to develop in what could take place. Finally, there's training for just being in an all-out fight, something that most of you are never going to have to get into. God help you. God help us all. But a scenario where you might be in just an all-out fight for your life, for somebody else's life, multiple attackers, and where you actually have to advance. You've got to save yourself, you've got to save somebody, you've got to get out of something. There's people coming at you, there are people coming at you with firearms or other weapons, and you've got to move through and engage multiple targets, and you don't have time to retreat. You've got to get your firearm out and make it work. This is advancement right here. This is all out fighting, and it pays every once in a while. Now, you don't want to do this with every range session, but every once in a while it pays to get out and do this. Just take a whole range session and go out or out wherever you shoot, and go out and shoot like this, advancing in, out, back, forth, inside, kneeling, however you have to do it, and shooting multiple targets, going forward and in an aggressive posture. That's a rarity, and that should be a rarity. But bottom line is, if you're ever in that kind of scenario, you're sure going to want to have the skills available to be able to engage those kind of targets, those kind of things coming at you, and you won't know that by simply standing and shooting static targets. Those are several of the ways, and the most common ways, that somebody might have to engage in something other than just standing straight up and shooting. Not practicing any of that is to leave a whole bunch of stuff off the table that you may need someday should the unthinkable happen. Please get out. Take the time to set up your targets a little bit different ways. Use your imagination. Set up a few things. Build yourself a few things. And practice doing these things that could very well save you, your family, bystanders someday should the unthinkable happen from a mindless criminal with no conscience determined to kill you and yours. Use your firearm, use it competently, train smart, and you'll have the skills you need when the time comes. I'm Mark Rogers, Christian gun owner, and I'll see you very soon in another Christian gun owner video.